Hello and welcome. My name is Kyle. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Let's Play 80 Days. All right, it is day 42. It is about 7 o'clock at night. We are in Yadanaban. And that's about all I know. It's been a little while since I played the game. So, let's see what we can figure out. What's going on here? Is this a new button? Oh, some kind of share button, I guess. All right, cool. Haven't seen that yet. So let's see. We have no pathways out of here. We're going to stay in the hotel overnight. Do some exploration. See what we can figure out. Yadanaban was thronged with Buddhist monks and believers who had flooded the city to attend the 5th Buddhist Synod. They meditated, conversed, and drank endless cups of tea in the many free travelers' shelters, zayats, of the royal capital. I went looking for transportation. Yep. Locating a rack of chintz for hire outside of one of the zayats. Where do you head? I asked, and the driver shrugged. South or north? Where to? Pangsao? Rangoon? He shrugged. Where do you want to go? London? He nodded. That's quite far. Indeed so, I replied, and turned to leave when the smell of cooking distracted me. I'm going to harden my heart against it and return to find my master. Alright, so there we go. We got northern and southern routes. Let's see what we got here. So this departs at 8 a.m., which is an hour from now. Can we rotate this? And this depart, that arrives tomorrow. So if we hurry, we can go to Rangoon. I think that's what I want to do. So let's go ahead and depart. To Rangoon. So it's high temperatures, dusty roads. We'll be fine. Yeah, it's been a little while since I've been able to play this game. I had a couple busy days recently where my job, and I'm also going to school, and there was a project due. Lots of stuff happening all at once, and unfortunately my Let's Plays and recording of those Let's Plays got a little bit behind. So anyway, we hired a chintz driver to take us into Rangoon. The woman drove in silence, perhaps determined to maintain a professional, let's say objecting to our nationality. Certainly the people of this region seem to dislike Europeans. Let's see if we can get... we can't. We can only talk to Monsu Passepartout. Let's talk about these wool shirts. No, I don't want to use them. Let's talk about Rangoon. What have you learned about Rangoon? I heard that Rangoon is a thriving, beautiful city. Pangsao Path? For instance, there is neither hotel, bank, nor market in Pangsao Pass. Let's talk about the journey. Will our wager be successful? Day 43, as I'm sure you are aware. We must keep going. Yeah, we're about halfway through. I don't know that we're halfway around the world either. So, we reach Rangoon, and our relations with Fogg have strengthened slightly. Alright, so nothing's open now, so we'll stay the night. Rangoon still bore the marks of its capture at the hands of the British in the last Anglo-Burmese War, but in the following decade, King Pagan had transformed, or so I intended to make as much as I could of my French accent. No, let's not be a jerk about it. But following the decade, King Pagan had transformed from a bloodthirsty tyrant to a statesman capable of recapturing Rangoon, crushing a rebellion by his British sympathizing half-brother, and winning the love of his people. I'm always going to pick the automaton role here. His army of Leogryph automatons also played a part. The Burmese chintz were made of iron and breathed fire. They also adorned every pagoda and temple in sight, engines running at a low boil. I had taken a mere 2 steps from the veranda of our lodgings when an enormous shadow darkened the street. There was a grinding shriek and hot breath, and then I was seized in a great iron claw. All right. I'm going to try to wriggle away, but a set of jeweled talons pinched into my chest and held me firm. The ground fell away in a dizzying rush. The automaton was not flying precisely, but rather leaping with a powerful bunch of hydraulics and gears. With 3 powerful jumps, the creature scaled a nearby temple and deposited me at the very top of the pagoda. I dared to look at my captor, only to find myself similarly scrutinized by a pair of jewel-faceted predator's eyes. The automaton was an enormous gilded iron lion with a heartbreakingly human porcelain face and torso. Worse still, it could speak. "I am Manusia," it said in a grating rumble, "and you are in my city, Jean Passepartout." "You know my name?" I demanded, my distaste for my Christian name overriding my fear. "I know every creature that comes here. I am the protector of the city. I know the whys and hows of every creature that passes through my domain. But your purpose is a mystery." "We are going around the world," I declared, but with far less than my usual gusto, aware as I was of the long drop which awaited me if I chose my words without care. "The world is a dangerous place," Manusia said, grinding its iron teeth in a horrible smile. "And you Europeans only make it more so, wherever you go." "You are a watchdog of the king," I suggested, "like the chintz who sits in front of the temple?" Manusia shook his blank human face from side to side in a clatter of rubies. "I am an imperial advisor to King Pagan, and no simple collection of gears and levers." I could scarcely believe Manusia's calm philosophical discourse, but I insisted. This is a tricky one here. So you ask him who is his master, he could get furious about that, saying he doesn't have a master. And who made you could also remind him that he is not a living thing, but a manufactured thing. I'm going to take a sip of coffee as we consider our choice here. I'm going to go with who made you. Manusia sighed a hot gust. "I was once a royal child's toy, a man-eating lion with cushioned teeth and emerald eyes. But there was some spark in my shard which allowed me to build, to create myself. I cannibalized the other toys in the imperial nursery. I bit and soldered and scratched myself into being." "You are your own creator?" I breathed, in horror, wonder. I do not rightly know. "I have only just begun." Manusia seemed to preen, every inch a feral lion wrapped around a combustion engine. "Enjoy my city, Jean Passepartout, but when you leave, you will go to Pang Sao Pass." "But there is no route that way." "There will be." It seized me in its warm paw once more and leapt to the street in one heart-stopping bound. By the time I had finished shaking, Manusia was gone, his last ambiguous words echoing in my head. I wondered how much of the kingdom of Burma's recent change of fortune could be ascribed to the protector of Rangoon. I wondered whether the people of Burma would one day proclaim themselves subject of an automaton king, or try to forget. I'm not going to do that. I wondered if he would truly be worse than a monarch of flesh and blood. I wondered many other things, best left unvoiced. Wow, so that was an intense little moment there. So it said we found a new route, but I didn't see it. So, all right. Sorry about that. Had a little notification pop in. I just wanted to turn those off so they wouldn't interrupt me again. Let's see. So we can go up to Pang Sao Pass now. Well, I guess that's what we're doing. Did they like change the So it arrives tomorrow at 8 a.m. Alright, so we're going to explore in Rangoon a little bit then. So we do find another route south, but I am going to sort of pursue the story with the automaton there. I went out to explore the streets of Rangoon during the hot midday sun like a fool, but could not shake the strange, prickling sensation of being watched. I explored further in the shade, taking in the gilded pagodas, lush fountains, and busy temples of the thriving city. Let's see if we have anything to sell here. It 380, 420. Bolt of silk, a Buddha's tooth. I think we're good. So where can we go? We could go all the way down to Batavia. I'm gonna do this though. So we're gonna go back to Rangoon, stay another night in the hotel. Feel like we're not making much progress here. With the last few hours of the evening, let's go explore because Monsieur Fogg is doing okay. Went out to explore a little and found a remarkably frenetic British youth who was looking for a child, whom I located near a clockmaker's. The youth thanked me, and as we talked, remarked that some buyers will pay well for magnetic compasses from Singapore. I thanked him, and he smiled and went about his affairs. All right. So let's go ahead up. Look at this thing. It's like a flying eagle. The next morning, we stepped into the street to find a gigantic bronze and steel bird waiting for us. It lowered its head and held out a claw. Or let's keep going down this path. This was the transport Manusia had hinted at. I gulped for fear, but Monsieur Fogg was not even slightly concerned. He leapt aboard, consulted his pocket watch, and smiled as we lifted into the sky. All right, I'm at your service, Monsieur Fogg. Passepartout, there you are. Let's talk about this again. Pangsao Pass is a good place to find an airship, I've heard. I hear there are no airships allowed in Beijing. Vladivostok? Be careful in Vladivostok. There are rumors of war with Japan. The flight was in fact glorious. We swept over mountains, or I clung on tightly. Let's do the mountains. Deep ravines, tiny villages, and deep jungle. It was the wildest, deepest country I had yet seen, and we soared above it as though it were a painting, and we its audience. Even Monsieur Fogg was enjoying himself. The speed had brought a touch of color to his otherwise meticulously pale cheek. Passepartout, he declared with true passion, however you have arranged this, I am most impressed. A mighty compliment indeed. I nodded my head a fraction, a suitable reply. We landed into Pangsao Pass under cover of darkness. The bird let us down gently, dropped our cases, and then wheeled away dramatically into the sky. Excellent progress, Monsieur Fogg remarked, but I could not help but remember Manusia's words, and feel certain there was a price yet to be paid. So our relationships have strengthened slightly, and our character is now suave. And we have reached Pangsao Pass. No hotel, so I guess we're like camping rough. There were no hotels in Pangsao Pass, but we were put up for the night in a local man's thatched roof dwelling. Let's do some exploration, because there are currently no routes out of here, I don't believe. Captain Chalmers from Quetta was here and clapped me on the shoulder as if we were dear friends. We are going to interrogate the revolutionary, my good man, he said. Do you want to come along? His smile was deceptive. I smiled acidly in return. That's not me. I felt compelled. An automaton at my back, so to speak, as I realized with a sinking heart that this was Manusia's task for me. I was supposed to rescue the helpless Indian rebel. I made my way towards the prison hut with a heavy heart. The prison hut was small, rancid-smelling place that had been used more than once. Monsieur Fogg, standing at the door with me, raised an eyebrow. Perhaps they will listen to me, he suggested. Good idea, I said. Monsieur Fogg stepped quickly forward and knocked on the door. I cannot imagine what the reaction inside was like to this most polite of interruptions, but I took the opportunity to slip around the back of the hut. There was a pile of dry firewood stacked against one wall underneath a window. All right, so here we go, man. This is a little bit of intrigue, right? We're trying to free this gentleman, basically to repay Manusia's help to get us up here. Let's light a fire, I thought. And there had been lit candles. And there had been lit candles in the barracks hut. A short walk from the prison. I hurried away, trusting that my master would delay things, even if he could not resolve them. I returned a moment later with a flame. Let's race around front to announce the fire, just as Mr. Fogg was standing in front of a bemused-looking Chalmers with no idea what to say. "Ah, Passepartout, good," he declared. "Captain, there is a fire," I declared breathlessly. The captain leapt into action, leaving the hut door wide open. We ran inside, immediately, not wasting a second. Soraya's bonds were cut in a moment using the knife, which was fortuitously lying there, as though just for the purpose. I lifted the poor soul while Mr. Fogg stayed at the door, keeping watch. Then we were away, limping down the hillside to collapse breathless behind an outcrop of rock. Soraya's eyes were dimmed and his breathing hoarse. "I thank you, whoever you are," he gasped. "You will be saved. I promise it." And thus we stayed, watching as the frantic officers tried to quench the fire and failed, believing all the while, I think, that Soraya was still inside. All right. So that was successful. We managed to save Soraya, and we found a route to Beijing, which we're going to do right now on another Garuda. Garuda, by the way, is like it's a word for bird. I'm not sure in what language is the word for bird. I only know that because of an amazing story by China Mayville. It's how I think you say his name anyway. I'm drawing a complete blank on the name of the book. Oh no, it's Perdido Street Station. There's the Garuda people in there who are bird-like people. They're basically human bodies with bird heads and wings and things like that. And they are the Garuda in that book. Very good book if you haven't read it, by the way. Very steampunkish too. So if you like the steampunk automaton stuff that's happening in 80 days, you might want to check that out. Anyway, the Garuda that swooped down to collect us seemed to know exactly where we were hiding amongst the trees. It snatched our luggage and then us and disappeared into the sky before any of the British soldiers could level their guns. I'm not going to try to explain it to Monsieur Fogg. It is clear some things simply do not register on a gentleman's mind. I had to ask Soraya what would happen next, and he took a few awful, shuddering breaths before answering. "I have friends in China," he replied. "They have no love for the British," and he grinned a toothless, bloody grin. "I will recover there for a time." "You have done well," I told him. It seemed a compassionate thing to say. He smiled gratefully and then slumped back into sleep. Let's have some conversation. All right, let's talk about Beijing. They say Empress Cixi, or CG, prefers her automatons to be decorative. Well, how are you feeling? I am on fine form, but we must make haste. Pyongyang? Well, you can pick up handheld mirrors in Pyongyang, extremely valuable in San Pedro. We crossed the Himalayas at such speed and height that their snow-capped peaks were but a long stretch of foamy sea. We grew cold on the back of that great creature, and Soraya, their name has changed here apparently, shivered terribly even as we swooped down and landed within sight of the city of Beijing. "Why do we not land in Beijing?" I asked irately. Soraya coughed and answered me. "Empress CG will have no airships in the city limits. That includes Garuda like this fine fellow." The Garuda in question began to hiss and rumble a little. It spoke, in the grating, curiously musical voice of Manusia. "Ah, Jean Passepartout," it said, "I knew you were more than you seemed." Very cool. Alright, so Fogg's doing okay. We're going to stay here for the night. There were no airships sailing across the Beijing sky, nor any evidence of electrification. Though the Chinese did not shun all technology, palanquins were drawn by intricately worked and gilded iron lions as often as human servants, and I saw animated metal and jade dragons that snapped and glared at passers-by, perhaps to discourage thieving. Furthermore, I was lucky enough to catch the inside of a most comfortable hotel, a performance of the famed Suishi opera, the cast consisting entirely of hydraulic elegances, automata by another name. I was told it was an ancient tradition begun over 1,000 years ago by Huang Gan, an engineer who had made Shui Shi wine pourers and musicians, dancing girls, and acrobats for his emperor's court. True? Perhaps so. But the opera itself, my friends, it was a thing of great beauty. I forgot that the performers were fashioned from brass and iron, that their eyes were polished onyx, that their lips were gently glazed porcelain. I saw only the purity of their movements. We were the guests of a Han opium trader who clearly believed Monsieur Fogg to be in the same trade, possibly due to my hinting as such. Monsieur Fogg's lips compressed slightly, but he did not contradict me. As we departed the auditorium, I slipped away from our host and went backstage. I made a polite inquiry about the Dowager Empress Cixi, who is a figure of near legend in the West. She was born into poverty. Where we go? I lost my track. She was born into poverty and rose through the ranks of concubines and consorts due to her wisdom and wit, he said admiringly, and a model of Confucian values. We thanked our host and made our way back to our lodgings. A pair of opium addicts were slumped in an alley near our hotel, faces blankly blissful despite the emaciation of their limbs. I saw the poison and rot at the heart of Beijing and wondered how long even such a grand structure. So we looked at that rot and that made things go down, I guess. All right, let's do some exploration. Let's see what our new routes are, and then we'll probably wrap up the video. So we can go to Urga. Ooh, where's this one? Oh, Vladivostok. All right. So let's look at the departure screen real quick. So we can go a little bit up north here to Urga. See, I'm gonna have to get like across the ocean somehow. So, or you know, we could go up the coast here. Looks like there's a cruise ship out of Yokohama that might go around the world. I mean, it's probably makes more sense to go up here. Wow, someone got there day 75, it said. So someone's already in Reykjavik by day 47. Wow. Okay. We're a little far off from that. We'll see. I don't know if we're gonna make it. People are getting to London around day 75, so we might be pushing it. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you all next time.